All right, back for another beer review, and today I will be reviewing yet another beer from Hop Butcher for the World, and they're out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Extra Giardiniera. So they are calling this one a Citra, Dorado and Mosaic-hopped Triple IPA. Comes in at 10% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This can is just over 3 weeks old. I want to give a huge thanks and shout out once again to Hop Butcher for hooking me up with this one. I'll post a link in the description box to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies they hooked me up with. And this is the second to last beer from the box that they just sent me that I am reviewing. I have one more after this, which is their Farm Fresh. I don't know what order you'll see all these in, but you'll see this one probably before Farm Fresh. But yeah, I'm really happy they sent me this one because they sent me Giardiniera, which was their double IPA, 7.5% double IPA version of this one. And it was delicious. It had like basically OJ vibes with candied stone fruit and then like a garlic and onion kind of herbaceousness. It was fantastic. One of my favorite beers from the prior box along with their double grid. So this is the triple IPA version of that beer. And I will say, I forgot to read the tasting notes on the regular Giardiniera. And one of my viewers, Gloomy Sheeper, he called me out on it. He's like, you forgot to read the taste notes. And I'm like, I'm old. I forget all the time. So I've been doing a better job remembering the tasting notes on the back of the can here to read. But I don't read them anymore before I review because I kind of want to know what I'm getting into with my palate and not what they tell me. So at the end, I will hopefully remember to read the tasting notes. We'll see, Gloomy. We'll see. All right, anyway, let's crack this one open, get it into the hashtag proper glassware. So, you know, I've had a handful of triple IPAs from Hop Butcher, and they do a really good job. Some of them better than others, but more often than not, they do a great job. So yeah, this is kind of looking very similar to Giardiniera, because it was a lighter kind of look to it, but this is maybe slightly darker. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit more darker. This has a honey orange. The other one was like straight up like yellow, like a bright yellow. But yeah, honey orange color, very murky and turbid, about a half finger, two-thirds of a finger of this white looking, I will say soap sudsy looking head. It looks fine. For a big triple IP, it looks fine. Let's get a nose. Very reminiscent of base Giardiniera. Yeah. Same thing. Maybe not as intense on the OJ part, but there's orange, there's grapefruit. It's sweeter, a little bit of zestiness, but sweeter. But then it has like candied stone fruit and maybe more of a candied like tropical kind of feel to this one. More of like a overripened or candied or crushed pineapple. But there's like peach gummy rings in this. Yeah, apricot, mango. I think I used in that review analogy. I'm just gonna stop talking and try to use words that I apparently can't even pronounce. So I was talking about like candied stone fruits, candied tropical fruits. So I was like a little bit of like crystallized sugar on whatever type of stone fruit you want to talk about. For me, it was like more of a peach or mango. In this instance, I would say not as much of that candied, but it's sweeter. It's like over-ripened mango or peach. Ooh, so it's not as big on the garlic and dank thing, like the garlic, onion, super huge dank herbaceousness, but it's there. There's a little bit of like a piney, earthy, like resinous kind of tone to it. Yeah, it smells like there's a lot of sweetness, but then it has that dank, ranky type of vibe to it, and I feel like it's not going to be super sweet, but pretty sweet because it's triple IPA, it's 10%. Not really getting any malt character here. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody, and thanks again to Hop Butcher. It's like a bigger version of Giardiniera, which is what I think they're going for. The one knock I did have on Giardiniera was I wanted to see a little bit more bitterness, and I think the same holds true for this one. It's 10%. I expect a big sweetness, and it has that. There is a little bit of bitterness on the back of the palate, like a mild bitterness, a semi-dry kind of finish, but I would want more of a moderate bitterness because there is a lot of sweet malt character, which is being hidden behind those fruity characteristics. So a lot of times when people say juicy and fruity, it's basically sweeter malt character carrying the hop flavors, right? Kind of the same thing here, but at 10%, so it's a lot of malt. Body in this one's like higher, like medium touch over Medium body for a triple IPA, I'm fine with that. I like drinking triple IPAs that are a little lighter body, which I've said so many times on the channel. The mouthfeel, this isn't crazy. Like, this is not a crazy, amazing, top-notch mouthfeel, but it's pretty good. It has a nice smoothness to it. It's not really super soft or creamy because there's more like a moderate carbonation here. This is one of the more higher carbonated triple IPAs I've had from them. Body and mouthfeel are really solid. The taste, it's juicy OJ at the front of the palate, really akin to the base beer. Lots of sweet orange character, juicy OJ, or just kind of like biting into the flesh of an orange. Right after that, I'm going to say more of like a sweeter over-ripened pineapple. Same thing with a peach and a mango. So this isn't as candied, I think, is the base one. I think it's a little reserved in its sweetness for those fruits specifically. It fit like it 2/3, three-quarters of the way through the palate. That I wouldn't even say it's onion and garlic dankness. I would say it's more of like a generic dankness. There's an earthiness, a touch of pine. And that hits, like I said, about 3/4 of the way through the palate, and it stops that sweetness to some degree. So with that character, in conjunction with the mild bitterness and the semi-dry finish, it doesn't balance it out, because this is not super balanced, but it does stop it from being overly sweet and cloying. Pour the rest in here. Yeah, so this is really good. I think I gave Giardiniera like a 4.5 or like a 4.4. I think I like, honestly, you know, you got to keep it 100. I think I like the regular 7.5% double IPA Giardiniera from them more than this one. I don't think the added alcohol here is doing anything for me. It might even be subtracting a little bit from this beer because it's 2.5% ABV bigger. There's more sweetness, and the beer was already sweet. So I don't like this as much as the base, but it's still really fucking good. I've always said this. I've always said this. No, I haven't always said this, but I say this a lot. When you're talking about 10% beer of any kind, but like a triple IPA, a lot of times it would be pastry stouts or like a, you know, big ABV, or not even big ABV, like 7 to 8% like pastry sour, stuff like that. I would like them in 8-ounce cans. I think I would want this in an 8-ounce can because I think by the time I drink the rest of this, it might be too sweet for me. Probably cloying because it leans sweeter. It definitely has a big pop of sweetness. There's not enough bitterness to balance it out, I think, for that entire can. I think 8 ounces of it, I'm like, yeah, good. Move on to something else. I think the base one I enjoyed more. So I think I gave the base one 4.4 or 4.5. Can't remember. I can't go as high on this one. I will say the one redeeming quality of this one, if you're drinking it, I can't tell it's 10%. I really can't. The only reason I know this is a bigger beer is because the body's bigger and that sweetness is pretty pronounced. So that's the only reason I'd say this is probably like 9 to 10%. But outside of that, you know, definitely not. So pros, hides the alcohol well. Still a really fucking good beer. The cons, I think the base beer does it better, and it doesn't, and it's sweeter, so it doesn't have enough bitterness to kind of balance it out. That said, I'm still going to give this a pretty fucking high score because it still is pretty tasty. I just want it in small doses. So, Extra Giardiniera from Hop Butcher. I'm going to give this a low 4.25 out of 5. I'm going to go 4.2 out of 5. I think that's a fair score. I think this is, yeah, about 0.2, 0.3 lower than Giardiniera for me, just from a drinkability aspect. I think it kind of knocks it down. I think those flavors are better for me, and it's 2.5% lower, so could drink more of them. I didn't mention anything about the label. Oh yeah, tasting notes. I love the label of this. You have, you know, garlic and onions and bell pepper, red pepper, bell pepper, carrots. I don't remember the other label, but they all look disappointed here when it says Extra Giardiniera. It's, I guess, more of them going into the Giardiniera, so they're not happy about it. So Giardiniera, I didn't really talk about it. Basically, a pickled medley of these different vegetables, and they put them on the Italian beef sandwich, which is a huge sandwich, very popular sandwich in Chicago. And again, Hop Butcher's all about Chicago foods and labels and whatnot. I mean, recently I reviewed their neon green relish, so I love it. I love the label. I love everything about it. Price and availability, I believe these are 18 or 19 bucks a 4-pack for a triple IPA. That's appropriate. A bit cheap, actually. If you talk about like other halves of the world, they're usually like $22 to $24 a 4-pack, so good value, like everything from Hop Butcher. And availability, I don't know anymore with Hop Butcher. I've seen a couple of their beers here locally in the Buffalo area, Buffalo, New York, that is. And yeah, you can get them online, here, overseas in Europe. people are getting distro their stuff locally. They're going to be opening up their new facility, the old half-acre digs at some point. Maybe by the time you see this, they'll already have it going. I have no idea, but I do know that it's much easier to get Hop Butcher stuff than it was, say, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago. So pretty cool. Huge thanks to Hop Butcher for hooking me up with this one. Like I said, a little bit leaning too sweet for me, and I don't think it does as a whole comparing this to the base. I don't think this is better than the base. And when you're talking about knocking that ABV up and knocking the sweetness up, it doesn't land as well for me. I give it a 4.2 out of 5 though. So like, it's still a really good fucking beer. Just, I'd want it, half of this can would be perfect. So if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.